Yeah, that's fine. Ready to start? Okay. Hello, and welcome to IU Health Field on the campus of Hamilton Southeastern High School in Fishers, Indiana. My name is Lex Zorn. I'm joined by Colin Bruns, and we'll be bringing you all the action here in the final game of our quadruple header of the Fishers Hamilton Southeastern Youth Championships. Up to now, we've had the third, fourth, and fifth grade championship games, and the third place game, the third grade game, Navy beat Air Force 14-12. The fourth grade game, Indiana beat Ohio State 23-0. The fifth grade game, Navy beat Michigan State 12-0. And now for the grand finale, we're going to have Navy versus Ohio State here. So, Colin, the service academies in the Big Ten being very well represented today. Navy having participated in three of the championship games, won the two that have been played so far, and then Ohio State being in a couple as well.
Yeah, Ohio State was in the last one against Indiana.
The fourth grade game.
Yeah, the fourth grade game against Indiana, and Indiana dominated that one. So let's see what kind of fight this Ohio State team brings to the Navy midshipmen, who have been so far sweeping their championship series.
yes, they have, and. So, this has been this is a great event they have every year, and, we've had, I would say over 1,000 fans. It's hard to get an exact attendance account because very few people, I think, have stayed for the whole thing, but we've had fans filing in and out for, whatever games their kids were in, and so, and unfortunately, we've had really good weather today. The temperature is almost perfect right now in Fishers. It's 80 degrees, very good for the last day of September under a mostly clear sky. Really overall the weather this football season, with the exception of, week 4, where we had that awful rainstorm, has been very good. And, temperature's supposed to be for this Friday's slate of games supposed to be in the low 80s. So, it's good to see that we've had, apparently we're getting, good weather still late into the season, which hopefully will keep the attendance strong.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that week 4 really dropped attendance for a lot of games.
Yes.
I remember I was at where was I? I believe I was at Perry Meridian. I think it was a Perry Meridian, and they were playing Plainfield. Plainfield didn't even have a student section when that rain came through, and I remember it was just awful. It was an awful time.
And now, did you have rain through the whole game?
Yeah, pretty much. It sprinkled a little bit here and there. Sometimes it would fade away into a light sprinkle, and then other times it'd pour down hard. So it was definitely kind of a bipolar system of weather. But for the most part, it was just wet all around throughout the whole game, and attendance was just very low. And
I was out at Cascade. I was at Cloverdale that game. I was at Cloverdale in that game where they played Cascade, and we got around the middle of the second quarter, the rain came in, and it just downpoured the rest of the game. It was a very, very ugly game. Cascade did get out of there with the win, 14-8. But definitely probably the ugliest game I've ever called. And the fact that they won is the only thing that saved my hour ride home from being sheer misery, because it rained the whole way and for the most of it was heavy rain too, and I hate driving at night in rain. But anyway, got a game here to play, the fourth and last game of this quadruple header here of this great annual event.
Yeah, it was about an hour drive home for me too. And
an onside kick and Ohio State recovers. The last game started with an onside kick. One of two successful onside kicks in the game for Navy as they went on to win the fifth grade championship. This one, however, is recovered by the receiving team, Ohio State, so they'll start in good field position right around the 50.
Yeah, Navy recovered two of those onside kicks.
Yes, they did,
in that last game against Michigan State. And this Navy team, let's see what kind of fight they bring. So far, we've seen a very common theme with all these Navy teams. They have good defense.
And it's just amazing how you go from each grade, how much bigger the players get every year.
Yeah, and it's surprising because some of the players actually get smaller. I'm looking at the tailback for Ohio State right now, and he's kind of a short guy compared to everybody else.
And somebody forgot to remove the tee from the field. They finally got it off now.
That'd be a bad thing to step on or fall on. Right here, the handoff. Wow, nice run by Ohio State. Good gain up the middle.
That was Mason Neal. They give him credit for 7 on that one. So good start to the game for the Buckeyes offense.
Yeah, unlike the last time the Buckeyes were on the field for the 4th grade championship game, unfortunately for them, they were not able to get any kind of running going against that tough Indiana defense.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they did not have a single earned first down the whole game. I think they got a first down on a penalty in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and then they did get an earned first down after they did get the penalty. They got a couple actually off a few runs, and then eventually they were just stuffed by the Indiana defense again. And let's see if this rushing attack is a little bit different here for Ohio State.
Yes, so now we got the Buckeyes running in an I formation with one receiver out to the right. Handoff now. I think he's got the first and maybe a yard more.
Gets to about the 40-yard line. They will give him the first down.
That was Neal. They give him credit for 2.
Underway here with the 4th and final game of this championship series here at Hamilton Southeastern. 6:12 to go.
Yeah, 4:39 your time of day, so they've stayed pretty well on schedule the whole day.
Oh yeah, should be done and out by around like maybe
around 6, yeah.
Yeah, around 6 maybe.
So once again, I formation. Now a quarterback sneak there, and he gets up for about 3.
Already we're seeing that Ohio State, their offensive line has been able to move the defensive line of Navy, and Ohio State has had a really good rushing attack here so far. They're attacking the middle of the defense, not going to the outside as much as the previous teams have in the past.
And, it's interesting also to note how the interesting to observe how the style of the two teams, the style of the play changes, from year to year.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
That the fact that we had no pass, I think 4 passes in the 3rd grade game, 0 passes in the 4th grade game.
I wonder how many total passes we've seen today.
Probably about a dozen or so I could count, but yeah, it's not many. There were far more in the 5th place game than there had been
right
earlier. But so Neal getting
let's see here. Ohio State still sticking with that I formation. Oh, the quarterback keeper.
And yeah, but they got him for a loss though.
Oh,
that
Navy defense there with a good stop. I was going to lose about 3 yards on the play. It's going to set up 4th down for Ohio State.
Now they give him a little bit better spot than I thought they would have. They only marked him down for a 1 yard loss. Could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
So now I formation receiver to the left. Still no passing in the game, though. And now quarterback rolls to his left. He ran into somebody, and there's a fumble, and it's picked up for it's a
short game for Ohio State, but
yeah,
it's still nevertheless going to be a turnover on downs for the Buckeyes.
So nice job there by Grady Griffiths. That's Griffitts.
All right, well, Navy getting their first try on offense here. We'll see how the midshipmen attack this one.
Yes, indeed.
They're going with that.
That wishbone.
yeah, wishbone set again. Man goes up to the outside. They're going to toss it
pitch back, and now he's
State
brought down for a loss. That is Wyatt Watson there. Now they've got him for a -3 on that one. 3:05 to go here. It's a very fast-moving clock here.
Wow.
Yeah, because they've never gotten out of bounds. There have been no incomplete
no
passes. So yeah, that'll drain the clock very quickly. Now high snap, but he gets it, throws deep. No, I'm sorry,
that's
throws,
a nice catch,
and
right
he's
there.
got it, and he's got some room up the middle. He's got the first down and more up to about the 48. So that's a who had the reception?
27 with the reception.
Okay, there's a Ryder Holtz there on the reception for 17 yards there. Ryder Holt. I don't recall ever seeing Ryder as a first name before. So still going with that wishbone. And now a handoff there, and he's got about 6 yards up the middle. That was Watson there.
Well, Navy getting things going early here on the passing game. They got that completion for a big gain on the play to set up the first down. Now they set up the run. And that wishbone set is working out well for him after it was stuffed in the backfield for a loss.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. And yet we see another quarterback. Hold on. And now they got another first down here for about a 6-yard pickup.
A little bit of a misdirection play there on the wishbone set.
That was Holt with his first carry of the game. They give him credit for 6 on that one.
Yeah, they fake the handoff to the outside, so they go back inside. They turn right around and hand off to the other fullback to get him up positive yardage, set up the first down. That man goes out to the outside. Handoff up the middle of the fullback, right there in the middle of the wishbone. Good run up there.
That was Evan Burns there. He picks up 6. His first carry of the game. So Navy proving to have a good offensive arsenal here. 1:04 to go and counting here in the first quarter.
Yeah, just under a minute here in the first. Navy on the march right here. The toss outside. Oh, looks like they're going to throw.
Yes, and it is incomplete. That pass there by Wyatt Watson.
Wow.
The running back. The quarterback for Navy is Oscar Fox. He wears number 18. How many quarterbacks have we seen today wear number 18?
I don't know, but, I mean, it's been a lot. A lot of these quarterbacks like to emulate Peyton Manning, Indiana hero.
Yep.
And, that last play there, during my 8th grade year, we ran a similar play to beat Sheridan.
All right.
It was back in back a while
now
ago.
A handoff there
nice.
to Holt. He's found a hole, and he gets up past the 30 to about the 27 or 28.
As I was saying, we were at Sheridan for week 1, and we were down by 5. We're down by 5 with .01 second to go in the football game, and we did the double pass, and Noah McClendon caught it and sidestepped the defender, and then he took it up the sideline, ran all the way to the house for a touchdown. We ended up walking off versus Sheridan.
And we got a flag here. There's they hand it to Wyatt Watson. Is there any video of that game?
Yes, there is, actually. I can find it on YouTube. You can go on YouTube.
Oh, good. I would love to see that.
And find it. I'll have to show you after the game's over here.
Penalty against Navy. Yeah, I'd love to see that. You know, it was interesting. Last week, I had a really interesting experience on the air. My broadcast partner for the first time ever was Sam Penrod, who coaches 7th grade football in the Avon system. And I'll hold that thought till later in the broadcast when I have time to tell the story. But anyway, it'll take a little bit of explaining. But anyway, only 11 seconds left in the quarter now. Now a double handoff there, and that they're on top of it, and they bring him down for a loss of about 5 as time runs out in the first quarter.
Well, good. It was a good thing for Ohio State to stay home. They didn't get fooled on the double fake. The double handoff right there, the toss back for the outside run. The quarterback for Navy nearly got the block, but one of the Ohio State outside linebackers was able to get there, get his arms around the running back of Navy, and bring him down for a loss.
So after one quarter of play here at IU Health Field, no score yet between Navy and Ohio State. Here in the 6th grade championship game, we've been with you for almost 5 hours now. This is the last of our 4 broadcasts of the day as we get a look at the future of the Hamilton Southeastern Royals and Fishers Tigers program. These are the championship games of their youth league. We had the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade championship games. This is the 6th grade championship game now. A lot of exciting football as we see a lot of these future superstars here. And hopefully, a few years from now, we'll be looking back when these guys are doing great things in high school and beyond and remember this day and that we commentated them when they were just little kids.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it when they're all grown up and older and playing high school ball.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun for them to look back at. And so I'm so glad that, that they've broadcast this so that, these games will be preserved and archived. I mean, that's whatever they pay us, it's so insignificant compared to the memories. And not only that, think about these kids who have grandparents living across the country who can't be here today, but they're able to tune in.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's a good thing. I think the sports need to do more of that. More connect.
So now a pass over to the left side, and it's nearly intercepted. There's a nice effort there by Jalen Fillmore of Ohio State, who's also their quarterback. He jumped in there, nearly got it, but it fell to the ground incomplete.
Man, well, these Ohio State defenders are doing a good job of just staying in their positions and also doing a great job of coverage. They've been able to keep good coverage on the receivers. They did give up a long reception for a first down earlier, and that's going to set up a 3rd down and long for them. But for the most part, the defenders of Ohio State have been able to stay home, and they've so far kept Navy out of the end zone, even though Navy is driving right now.
Yes. So now a pitch back there to Watson. He looks like he wants to pass again, and he does. And it's out of bounds, though. And, Watson now, the running back, actually has thrown as many passes as has Oscar Fox, Navy's quarterback. They each has thrown 2.
Wow. Yeah, I'd like to hear that story that you were going to tell earlier.
Well, basically, when I first moved to Indianapolis in 2003, when I had been living in southern Indiana, I regularly attended University of Louisville football. And, I moved up here to Indianapolis, didn't have it. Obviously, we have no Division I college football, or, at least.
Close around,
yeah.
The city.
And now, handoff. And now, is he going to throw again? Yes, he's got a man open downfield.
Wow.
Just overthrown. So Watson has thrown now more passes than Oscar Fox, the Navy quarterback, and the midshipmen turn it over on downs. But anyway, Butler is actually in the FCS, but they're so low level, Right. But so I started going to see University of Indianapolis football, and the second game I ever went to which is back in the 2003 season, they played Michigan Tech, and it ended up being U of I winning 59-52 in overtime, and 29 Division II conference or school records were set in the game. And I'll continue in just a moment, but anyway. So the Buckeyes now running in I formation as they take over on downs around their own 32. And they're right on top of the rusher, and he might just get forward progress for 1. That was Neal. But anyway, and the most noteworthy record set in the game was Matt Cohn, the U of I quarterback who went on to play in the Arena Football League, threw for 645 yards, which is the all-time Division II record. Matt Cohn threw for 645 yards in the game, the U of I quarterback, which is the all-time Division II record. I think it's 5th most all-time in the NCAA at any level. But more on that in just a second. So now 2nd and 10 for the Buckeyes. And now handoff to the halfback, and he gets up for about 3. And let's see, that was Griffiths, yeah. So he picks up about 3. But anyway, Sam Penrod, my commentator, he mentioned going to U of I, and I asked him if he was with the team when they had that Michigan Tech win, and he said he was. And so I told him how much I told him all my memories about that game, and he was really glad I remembered. And I asked him if there's any videotape that exists of it, and he said there's some VHS tape somewhere, but he doesn't know about any more than that. But he would check, and I said, "You got to, if anybody has it, you got to put it up on the internet because that game was too much of a classic."
Oh yeah,
And I think there were like 13 lead changes or something really insane like that.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That would have been a game to see.
It was, yeah. And
Uh-oh.
and they got him for the quarterback for a loss there, so it'll bring up 4th down and 8. He takes a loss of 1. That was Fillmore. But anyway, only 3,000 people attended the game, and I've always enjoyed telling people about that game, and I was one of the few people who actually saw it. And Sports Illustrated actually mentioned the game in its next issue, so not every day that U of I gets in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, the Greyhounds.
Yep.
Just not the greatest program in the world, but definitely a well-respected program.
Yeah, and a great academic school too.
Yes, yeah, very.
Yeah.
And they also have a very good broadcast school.
Yes.
Down there at U of I. And it's funny because our strength and conditioning coach, Jamie Comer, a former Brownsburg linebacker, went to U of I.
Is that Brett Comer's son?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. He was at U of I.
And now Colin is a historic moment. 4 games, and that's the first punt, and it's bobbled. And he doesn't. Did he get it? I think
yes, he got it. He recovered it.
Yeah, so good job there getting on top of it by, I believe it was Holt who got it. But, yeah, 4 games, that's our first punt.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow, we're going to have to write this down for the record book.
Yeah.
That was a very good punt, too.
Yeah. So now Navy takes over 5:01 to go here in the second quarter. Still no score in the 6th grade championship game, coming at you live from IU Health Field here on the campus of Hamilton Southeastern High School in Fishers, Indiana. My name is Lex Zorn, joined by Colin Bruns. We're very pleased to be bringing you this quadruple header here on AudioSportsOnline.com on this very beautiful last day of September.
And, yeah, it's kind of surprising this is the last day of September.
Yep.
I mean, usually it's, you feel like it goes by really slow. It feels like just yesterday, just turned September. But the year goes on, and, it just keeps going by real quick. It's just flying by.
So I got a 5-yard rush there by Holt.
It especially keeps flying by for me since, I'm in high school. And my graduation's actually coming up within the next 3 months.
Oh, so you're going to graduate early?
Graduate December. Hopefully hear back from Ball State because I applied there about 5 weeks ago.
All right.
And so I'm looking to get into the broadcast school there.
Oh, good.
And I'm hoping that I hear something soon and hopefully something positive.
So now a 1-yard rush there by Holt.
Oh, and there's something interesting in the stands I'm looking at. It's a German Shepherd.
Oh, yeah, there sure is, yeah.
We got a German Shepherd all the way up here by the press box.
Yep, and fortunately now most of the fans on this side of the field now in shade. No shade on the visiting bleachers for the Ohio State fans, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people doing the salute as if to, salute a soldier. They're covering their eyes.
And now we got a flag here, and Holt's he's got the first down, but will it count? But, one thing I've seen this year, Colin, I've seen quite a few fans actually using umbrellas to protect themselves from the sun.
I've seen that, too. I have seen that, too, and it's interesting.
And one thing I've started to see pop up the last couple of years in the rainy games, there'll be fans who bring these, things that can cover, multiple fans that you can,
Like canopies, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I saw one at Brown County when they played Cascade in the rain last year. They had one where they put it in the corner of the top, one of the top corners of the bleachers, and it probably had enough room for 25 or 30 people. It was really nice.
Wow, that must be great. I need to look into that.
Yeah.
Right
so now a handoff there to Watson, and he's got a hole there, and he gets up. He's got the first down. That's a gain there of about 15 yards there by Wyatt Watson.
Oh, and he's down.
Hopefully we got an injury timeout now with 3:05 to go here in the second quarter.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at him. I'm sure he'll be all right. He got a good run, though, for the first down. Training staff will take a look at him. And then he'll most likely be back on the field after this.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's give you more time to talk about. So, have you found a tape yet of that football game?
No, I'll have to get with. Of course, I'll have to check with Sam Penrod about it. But yeah, it was a week ago Friday. I'll ask him if he's heard any updates. And also, I have 2 Facebook friends who were members of U of I in that game: the quarterback Matt Cohn and the wide receiver Cesare Manning, both of whom went on to play arena football. Neither made the NFL, but they did at least play professionally a little bit.
Yep.
So now Wyatt Watson walking off the field on his own power.
Oh, there he goes. Good to see the young man get up and walk off on his own power after going down. And now there he goes, taking a little jog. Gets a cheer from the crowd, and he's all right.
And we see a member of the Navy staff wearing a T-shirt that reads "Never Back Down."
I'm sure Watson will take that to heart and get back on the field here soon. And the game rolls on. Just under 3 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Still nothing on the scoreboard for both teams. Navy's driving. Ooh, that
mishandles the snap, but he gets it and then hands off there to Ryder Holt, who's up the middle for about another 5.
It was a good tackle there by Mason Neal. Got in there to try to get the stop before running back could do any more damage. And there he goes, Watson back out on the field after one play.
Yep, tough kid.
There he goes. He's blocking ahead.
Now he breaks a tackle, and then he gets the first down up to about the 35 or 36.
That was a good run there, and now we got an Ohio State Buckeye down on the field now.
So that's 7 there for Holt. I have him 6 for 30 now on the game, and 2:17 to go. So Navy trying to get something going before we head into the locker room. So yeah, we do have a Buckeye down on the ground. He is moving his arms and legs, but does appear to be in pain.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd probably be the same situation as what Watson was facing. Just a little banged up. Go to the sideline, get a drink, get washed off, and then head back out on the field.
Yes, and you know, Colin, I've noticed that they've consistently had about 15 guys on all these rosters today, and of course what that means is that you have to play most of the guys on both sides of the ball. So, right. And I think it's good to give them that experience, at multiple positions, figure out what they do best.
Well, yeah, it's definitely good, and it kind of gives players a sense of direction, what they're supposed to do, what their assignments are. It allows them to kind of dig deep into, like the play calling and the some of the play designs and stuff. See and dissect what you're supposed to do. Really builds character too when you get thrown into the action.
Indeed. So now 1st and 10 for Navy at the Ohio State 35. Pitch back there to Watson. He's got some room. He's knocked out of bounds around the 30 after a pickup of about 5. And so clock stops with 2:04. Navy trying to get the first score of the game here before the halftime. And now a pitch back there. I think that's that's Holt, but they bring him down for a loss. They were right on top of it.
Good
so bringing up
down.
3rd and 6. So good stuff by Ohio State.
It's a good chase down by the Ohio State defense. The outside linebacker came right down the line, and he was just able to get behind the running back and get him down for a loss. Well, we just reached 5 o'clock here, Hamilton Southeastern.
Yep.
In a minute, 35 to go.
And now to Watson, and they're right on top of him, and he gets maybe just a yard, so it'll bring up 4th and about 5.
Boy, Watson willing to come back into the game after being injured just earlier shows that he's a tough kid, and that that's really one good thing you need to have if you're going to have a good football team. You're going to have a tough football team, and right there, Watson's showing that he can be a tough player.
So 4th and 5 for Navy at the Ohio State 30. They're going for it. Pitch back there to and he looks like he wants to pass, but Watson is brought down for a loss of about 5 yards with 59.3 seconds to go in the half.
Well, Ohio State gets the crucial turnover there on 4th down. They're going to set up field position right about the 35-yard line to start their drive with 59 seconds to go until halftime.
And, Watson, he's already thrown 3 passes, and on that play and at least one other, he looked like he wanted to pass. So he definitely looks to pass a lot more than the typical running back does.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He's been a little off target with some of his throws, but I have a feeling he may connect with one here soon.
Yeah, he does look like he's got a pretty good arm. So now the Buckeyes in an I formation, one receiver to the right. And now it's quarterback sneak, but they're right on top of him. He gets maybe just 2. That was Fillmore there, Jalen Fillmore. Mark it down at the 2. .34 seconds to go. Ohio State not showing any urgency. It looks like they're not going to do anything fancy. They're going to be content with a scoreless tie here at the half. 25 seconds now and counting. I guess they will have to run one more play. I guess the referees are keeping track of the play clock on their watches. Apparently they don't have to run another play, so after one half of play here in the 6th grade championship game, still no score between Ohio State and Navy. And I'll tell you, I could be wrong. I'll have to look this up. But I believe this is the first time in my commentary career, which includes 76 varsity high school games, about 20 or 25 freshman or JV games, and now this is my second time doing these youth football games, that I have ever gotten to halftime with no score. So there's no scoring recap to give you yet. Hopefully there will be by the end of the game. But anyway, let's look at the statistics. First of all, for the Navy midshipmen, starting quarterback Oscar Fox has completed he has completed 1 of 2 passes for 17 yards. The only reception went to starting quarterback Oscar Fox completed 0 of 2 passes for 17 yards. Okay, let me start over. Starting quarterback Oscar Fox completed 1 of 2 passes for 17 yards, while running back Wyatt Watson completed 0 of 3 passes. The only reception went to Ryder Holt, who has 1 reception for 17 yards. Then on the ground, Holt leads the way with seven rushes for 29 yards, while Watson has 7 for 14. And then Evan Burns has 1 for 6. Meanwhile, for the Navy midshipmen, there have been no passes, so obviously no receiving yards to report. Then Mason Neal has 4 rushes for 12 yards. Jalen Fillmore has 5 for 5. And Brady Griffiths has 2 for 5. So definitely it's been a defensive struggle. Navy has clearly had better offense, but still not great. And this could be one of those games in which the first team, that gets a break, or the first team that just finds any score is going to be the team that wins. But anyway, only 2:55 left on the halftime clock. This has been an extremely fast-paced game. This game very well could be completed in a shorter time than any of the first 3 were. For those of you just joining me, I'll try to catch you up. This is a very special annual event here in the city of Fishers. We have 2 public high schools here in the city. There's Hamilton Southeastern, which has been around for many decades, and then Fishers, which was carved out of the Hamilton Southeastern District back in 2006. Each team has a stellar football program. Each team has won a state championship and is very often ranked in the top 10. They play each other. Their fierce rivals play each other every year in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, often play each other in the playoffs as they're in the same sectional. And jointly, the 2 schools run a youth football program here, which is very important because, football is a game that requires a lot of training, a lot of physical conditioning over many years, and a lot of guys working together and building themselves into a strong unit. So, it's great that Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern run this program to build their high school programs, but also that they give the kids, this kind of recognition and appreciation for their hard work by staging this great event here every year. And I'm especially thankful that they choose to broadcast with us here on audiosportsonline.com, as Hamilton Southeastern High School has done for many years in football. Also, they've done a lot of boys and girls basketball as well with us. Fishers has done football with us in the past. And so, it's great to give the kids that kind of recognition. And, it's also great to give the fans a chance to tune in. Sometimes, maybe your team has a road game and you'd like to go, but you just don't feel like driving out that far away from home that late at night, or maybe it's just bad weather and you just rather stay home by the fireplace, but you still want to tune into the game. Or maybe you're a grandparent who lives across the country and you just want to be able to hear your grandson play. So, we do that here on audiosportsonline.com, and the main school that I commentate for is Cascade High School, which is in a lovely community called Clayton in Hendricks County, 15 miles west of Indianapolis. And one of the most rewarding things to me is when somebody comes up to me, when I'm out there and tells me, I love listening to your broadcasts and, listening to my son or grandson or brother or whoever play when I'm not able to be there. So it's a great honor and pleasure for me to connect people with their families. And so now the halftime is over and they set the clock for 8 minutes. Still no score here. So 16 minutes of football away from crowning one of these two teams as the 6th grade champions here in the city of Fishers. Really, we had an offensive explosion, and ironically, the biggest offensive explosion we saw all day was in the third place game. When there were 26 points scored in the first half, and then then there were no second half points in the third place game. The third grade game. The fourth place game was 23-0 with Indiana beating Ohio State, and then the fifth grade game, Navy beat Michigan State 12-0. Now we got no score here after a half in this game. And, I'm sure it's also a big thrill for these kids to be playing, I'm sure because they're Hamilton Southeastern fans or Fishers fans and probably go to a lot of the high school games, and I'm sure it's really cool for them to be playing here on the high school field, which hopefully they'll be playing on in a few years as Royals or Tigers. So now a kickoff to start the and it's another onside kick. And it is fielded. Great job there for Navy. That's Aiden Smalley, who just got down, grabbed the ball, and cradled it. Cradled it as if it were a newborn baby. So now Navy now handoff there to Watson. He's up the middle for 4. So decent start to the half for Navy. And I'll hold that thought. 2nd and 6 at the Ohio State 46 now for Navy, trying to get the first score of the game. They're running with the wishbone offense. Handoff there. And he breaks the tackle, spins around, and gets up to about the 41, so he's going to be within a yard of the first. That was Evan Burns with only a second carry of the game. It went for 5 yards there. His first went for 6. And now 3rd and 1, so with under 7 minutes to go now in the third quarter, the midshipmen very methodical. Now a handoff there. I believe that was Burns again, and he's got the first down, and he pushes a defender, gets past the 30 up to about the 27. That's about a 14-yard gain there for Evan Burns. Only one rush in the first half. Now he's got 2 on the last 2 plays. 14-yard pickup there. I have him 3 for 25 now on the game. 6:35 to go and counting here in the third quarter. Still no score in the 6th grade championship. The last game of our quadruple header here on audiosportsonline.com. So Fox takes a snap. He hands off to Watson through the 25, through the 20. He's got the first down up to about the 15. So now Navy really starting to hit its stride on offense. They give Watson credit for 11 there. There have been no dominant players for Navy, but it's been steady. I have Watson with 29 yards, Holt with 29, and Burns with 25. So, and even 6 minutes to go now. Fox, he gives it to, I believe that was Holt. He gets up to about the 10 or the 9. So it'll be second and about 3. Mark it right at the 10. .541 to go and counting. 2nd and 4 for the midshipmen. They got in the red zone and turned it over on downs in the first half. Now, handoff there to Holt, but they're right on top of him, and he gets just 1 or maybe 2. That'll bring up 3rd down and short. They give him credit for 2 there. And so it'll be 3rd and 2 for 3rd and 3, excuse me. So now Fox lines up with Holt, Burns, and Watson, the running backs. It hands off to Burns, and he's got a hole up in the middle. He's inside the 5 up to, did he get in? Yes, touchdown, Evan Burns.
All right, finally, a first touchdown on the board. Navy midshipmen strike first.
Yep, it took, and Colin, I was just telling you during the halftime show, I believe, and I've commentated over 100 games, counting, high school, including JV and freshman and Little League too. I believe that was the first scoreless first half of a game I've ever commentated. I could be wrong, but I think it is. I don't remember one. So the score was a 9-yard touchdown rush by Evan Burns, who suddenly's become a very strong player for the midshipmen here in the half. And now they give it to, I believe he got it for, and did he get the 2-point conversion? It's going to be really close. I cannot tell from my vantage point if he made it in or not. No. Nevertheless, Navy leading Ohio State Navy leading Ohio State 6-0 in the third quarter with 4:47 remaining, and as little offense as we've seen in this game, especially from Ohio State, the Buckeyes now in a very deep hole. Certainly not out of it, but they need to get something going. And Colin, I was just saying during the half, it's ironic that the biggest scoring explosion we saw all game was the first half of the third grade game.
Yeah, I know that was very weird. A weird sequence of events. One, the Navy. What was it?
Navy Air Force.
Yeah, the Navy and the Air Force game. Navy scored first, then the Air Force responded.
Yeah.
Then Navy responded, and then the Air Force responded to make it a 14-12 game. Yeah. They only had one successful conversion throughout the game.
Yeah.
And then it was just a defensive battle throughout the second half, and the Air Force, unfortunately, weren't able to get their offense clicking and going, and they fell short just of a championship.
Oh, yes. And each team in the third grade game has scored a touchdown on its first 2 possessions, and then there was no scoring left the rest of the game. Although Air Force was their runner was tackled at the 3 on the last play of the game to seal the win for Navy.
Oh yeah, and Air Force came that close.
Yeah,
but just unfortunately, they weren't able to take the lead over Navy, and Navy still on their championship sweep.
Yep.
Right here,
onside kick, and it's fielded there at the 49. Took a little bit of a risk there. He looked like he wanted to run with it rather than down it. But, Ohio State's to the point now where they've gotten so little going on offense so far. By my count, only 22 yards of total offense in the first half, so I think they're desperate for anything that might come up here. So they start off, nevertheless, at the 50, good field position.
Yeah, good field position, but it doesn't matter if you can't get your offense going. You could be in great field position, and if your offense doesn't work, you could easily find yourself falling out of field position if your runs don't go anywhere but backwards, and if your passes don't find any receivers, then really it's just a wasted possession, and it's a wasted opportunity for you to get back in the football game.
So now Ohio State on offense here, trying to get something going. Fakes the handoff now, pitches back to, and he gets over to the right side. He's brought down for a slight loss there. That was Griffiths there.
Oh, number 27 Griffiths.
I think they're going to give him credit for -1.
Kept trying to make a bunch of cuts through the outside of the defense, but the Navy midshipmen were all over it. And, I mean, that's just great defense by Navy to stay home and take care of their assignments. They shut down the run from the quarterback, and then they shut down the option on the pitch.
So 3:40 to go here in the third quarter at IU Health Field. Ohio State trying to get something going on offense. They trail Navy 6-0. 3:32 to go here in the third quarter.
I haven't seen a lot of passing this game so far. We've only seen a few passes one went for a big gain, and then the other few were just fell incomplete.
Who carried? Okay. So a short rush by Fillmore there picks up only 2 yards, bringing up 3rd and 9. 3:09 to go here in the third quarter. And Ohio State has not thrown a pass all game. Navy has thrown 5, and 3 of them were by their running back Wyatt Watson. Oscar Fox, the quarterback, has only thrown 2, although one of them did go for 17 yards to Ryder Holt.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you look at the Ohio State offense, it looks like their receivers can match up well on the outside, but, because the Navy midshipmen are kind of undersized at corner, but they have a lot of speed. They have a lot of speed on the defensive side of the ball, just the offensive side. They have a lot of power right there, the quarterback keeper.
Yep, he faked the handoff, took it up himself, got about 4 yards, but he's going to be well short of the first down, so it's going to be a very important fourth down for Ohio State with 2:19 to go and counting in the third quarter, and they've mounted very little offense all game, and now they're down 6-0, and as good at – I mean, Navy's not a great offensive team, but they run the ball reasonably well and, usually keep in bounds. So if Navy gets the ball back, if they just get a couple of first downs, that'll go a long way toward just milking the clock and giving Ohio State very little chance to come back.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Ohio State has a chance to get back in this football game, and they're on the positive side of the 50. But right now they're trailing 6-0, and it's 1 minute and 42 seconds to go.
And now Ohio State takes a timeout.
Take a timeout.
1:38 to go. And Colin, I'm a big fundamentals guy. If I were a coach, I would preach fundamentals until my players got sick of it. And I'm a big believer in saving your timeouts. But I think in the situation, I'm a big advocate of saving your timeouts for the last 2 minutes of the half. But this is one situation where, that's probably a good timeout because this is probably the best chance to score Ohio State has had all game. And if they do not convert this this fourth down play right here, they very well might not get the ball back until the latter half of the fourth quarter.
Well, yeah, and then it is fourth down at about 5 to go.
Yeah.
You have to get from the 45 to the 40. And right now, they just can't afford to make any mistakes and turn it over on downs here on the 45-yard line, because if they do, they give Navy not only good field position but a chance to drive down and score. Meanwhile, we're draining out the third quarter clock and then milking part of the fourth quarter clock and taking more time to score. If they can keep picking up first downs with that rushing attack they were very successful with.
So now back to action here. Ohio State, their season, their championship hopes could very well hinge on this play right here. I formation, one receiver to the left. Fillmore under center. Takes it. And now he goes over to the left side. He's looking for room. They got him for a big sack.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the 45-yard line. That's going to give Navy great field position So they not only go backwards, they go back on the other side of the 50 and give up really big yardage. They're going to spot them. They're going to give them a courteous spot about the 46-yard line.
Yeah, that's a 9-yard loss nevertheless. And now with 1:26 to go in the third quarter, Navy 9 minutes and 26 seconds away from getting its championship. And, I imagine they'll be very conservative, try to get a lot of, moderate gains and just stay in bounds, keep the clock and the chains moving, and this one should be theirs.
Well, I really hope that the Ohio State defense has something inside of them where they could try and possibly regain some momentum. But right now, it's not looking so good. Just under a minute to go in the third quarter. And so far right now, Ohio State is starting to bend a little bit more on defense.
Yeah, so Evan Burns, who scored the touchdown, picks up 5 on that one. He only had 1 rush in the first half. He has 4 here in the second half. 44 seconds to go and counting here in the third quarter. Wishbone formation again for the midshipman. And now another handoff, and he might have the first. It's going to be within a yard.
There's Ohio State's getting involved in a lot of scrums with the offensive line of Navy and the running back of Navy. They can't allow to get into those scrums. They have to go low and try to get through those blocks to bring down the running back, because right now he's just behind a shield, and he's using the pile to just march his way forward, and they're picking up chunks of yards and also, in the meantime, wearing out the Ohio State defense.
And they're letting the clock run out, so after a 4-yard pickup by Evan Burns, that makes it 3rd and 1. The Navy midshipmen 8 minutes away from winning the 6th grade championship here. They lead the Ohio State Buckeyes by a score of 6-0 here on audiosportsonline.com.
Well, so far a good championship game here. It seems like that's how Navy has been managing to win a lot of their championships. I know they're all different teams, but it seems they play great defense at first, and then they slowly but surely drive down the field and score in the second quarter, and then hold on to defense throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting that and I would guess it's unintentional, but it does seem like the teams in general are playing a lot like their college counterparts, their college namesake teams do. I guess with the possible exception of IU, but although IU actually under Kevin Wilson, they did actually become a very good offensive team. It's just that they just never got their defense going. Kevin Wilson came over. He was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, and he did put up the IU teams put up a lot of points, but they gave up a lot too. And it'll be interesting to see what Tom Allen does. But yeah, I really miss the late Bill Mallory, who died back on May 25th of this year. He really was one of the most underappreciated major college head coaches of all time. I mean, when you consider the lack of talent that was available in Indiana at the time, and he still managed to consistently have IU in the middle of the Big Ten for about 9 years, that was a great achievement. But, Indiana thought they could do better, and yet they haven't 22 years later.
And well, yeah, I mean, I feel like the Indiana Hoosiers are headed in the right direction.
And now the big defensive stop for the Buckeyes. They brought Holt. They're down for a loss of about 5 or 6. So that's going to bring up 4th down when it was 3rd and 1. Yeah, it's a 4-yard loss there by Holt. So that's a huge play that makes it much more likely that Ohio State will get the ball back with enough time to do something without rushing.
Yeah, well, and I mean the Navy midshipmen really have a good rushing
big
style
4th
of
and
offense.
5 now. Now a double handoff there. Watson gets it. He's got something. But he's brought down short. He gets about 3 yards. He's going to be 2 yards short, I think. So Ohio State takes over with 7:10 to go. They still have hope.
Well, it's a good job by the midshipmen. They like to run that reverse style of offense and that heavy set that I talked about in the previous few games that they run, similar to what my high school runs whenever they come out in their special formations. And Right there, it's just one of those things that it's hard to stop when you got so many options to cover up if you're a defense. Navy does a good job on the other side of the football covering up those options, but for Ohio State, they've had a lot of trouble trying to figure it out.
So now Ohio State takes over. This could be their last big chance. 6:44 to go. They trail by 6. They got to get something going if they're going to win this championship here. They take over 1st and 10 at their own 37. And now a quarterback sneak by Fillmore, and he gets up about for 3 or 4. Now, Colin, you mentioned a rugby scrum. Does Western Boone have a rugby team?
No, they do not. We're not big enough for any of that yet, but I would certainly like to see a rugby team. I mean, I know I feel like I'd enjoy rugby.
Yeah,
it's a very dangerous style of dangerous style of football with no pads or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure that rugby players must think that American football players are a bunch of whips for wearing all those pads.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know though. What do you think about the debate that football is a tougher sport than rugby?
Well, now a pitch back there, and it's he dodges a tackle, but he's brought down for a loss. That was Griffiths there. I don't think I agree. And in fact, I once talked to a British guy who's a sports fan he actually likes American football better than rugby. He said that American football took the best elements of rugby and improved on them. But anyway, though, anyway, he hold that thought till after this play. And now, so another pitch back, but they brought him down for another loss. So Ohio State, they got the ball with nearly a full quarter to play, and now they're doing very little. So a 4th and 11 now after another loss there by Griffiths, and it looks like the Buckeyes with 4:30. Oh, I heard a whistle. I thought they were going to take a timeout, but no. So now this very well could be Ohio State's last play on offense because the way that Navy milks the clock, I can easily see Navy, running out the rest of the clock if Ohio State does not convert this 4th down here. So now the Buckeyes with one receiver at each side. Oh, they're going to punt. I can't imagine that they're actually not going to go for it here. Maybe it'll be a fake, but so the punt goes down. It bounces around the 41, then takes a decent Ohio State bounce, but now it suddenly takes a Navy bounce, and it dies at the 37. So now with 4:25 to go, the pressure cranked up on the Ohio State defense. They trail 6-0, while Navy, a good rushing team that rarely passes, is taking over with a chance to run out the rest of the clock and preserve the 6th grade championship. But anyway, Colin, yeah, I was telling this British guy who I was talking to, I said, I bet rugby players have no teeth left by the end of their careers. And he jokingly said, yeah, it's not a sport for pretty boys. Yeah. But yeah, for those of you who are listening and don't know, rugby is a British sport that's the forerunner of American football. If you watched rugby, you could easily tell that football originated from it, but it's much different in many ways too. Sort of like cricket, another British sport is the forerunner of baseball, and you can see some similarities. But actually, cricket is much more different. The difference between cricket and baseball is much greater than the difference between football and rugby.
Let's see what the Navy midshipmen like to do here. They go up the middle.
So yeah, it's
getting into the scrum again. The only reason I know some rugby term is because I'm kind of a rugby fan. I've watched a little bit of rugby on TV.
As have I, yeah.
Yeah, on different sports networks, and it's very enjoyable to watch. It's interesting, and I'm not sure why it doesn't have the pretty much a close amount of following that football does here in America. Because it's just as physical.
Yeah.
It's definitely just as fast. The ball is constantly moving in rugby.
Oh, I love the sport. Yeah,
yeah.
I always watch a match when I catch one on TV. And
I do too. It's all, whenever I see a rugby match scroll across my guide on my TV, I always flick to it.
Oh, good, yeah. So now they give the ball, I think that was Burns again. And this time he gets up for two. So Burns becoming the go-to guy in the second half. 2:52 to go now. Ohio State's defense has got to come up with a stop on these next two plays to get the ball back with any significant time to come back and to win this game.
And 2:38 to go here in the fourth quarter. Once again,
and now they've got the first down, and that should go a long way towards sealing it.
Yeah, that's most likely going to do Ohio State in. They just gave up a big run on that play, and right now, Ohio State, I believe, has all three of its timeouts left, and they could use those.
Did you see who ran there?
I did not see who. I think it was 27.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that would be, Holt then.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's just been in recent years I've noticed that Indiana high schools are starting to play rugby, and I hope that will continue. Now, as of the moment, rugby is not an IHSAA-sanctioned sport, which has both its positives and negatives. Hold on. But anyway, 1st and 10 for Navy now, all but guaranteed the championship. They hand off to Burns, who breaks through for about 8 up the middle, under 2 minutes to go now.
I actually know a few people who do play rugby. A few friends of mine. I used to have one friend. She plays rugby. She went to Western Boone. Early, it was like 8th grade year, I believe, and then she ended up moving around to Avon.
Yeah.
And she started playing club rugby. So they have club rugby. I know that much, and they play it at the schools. But I know that rugby is not really a high school sport. And I'm sure some people would like to see that, and I'm sure it'd be a pretty interesting sport to bring into the IHSAA.
And now they push up just to get the first down, and they got it, I think.
Yeah, just a minute 08 to go in the fourth quarter. This one is pretty much decided right here. They're going to take.
Yeah, so that was Oscar Fox there, the quarterback with a keeper there.
Yeah, and like Ohio State's going to surrender their championship hopes to Navy again, and Navy's going to complete the sweep.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 today, yeah. So I know that if I'm a Little League player in the Fishers HSC system, I'm going to do everything I can to get on Navy next year, whichever grade I'm in.
Yeah, you're going to make sure to tell your mother I want to be on Navy for when I start playing football.
Yeah, and now they kneel out the clock. So the Navy midshipmen win the 6th grade championship, capping off the Fishers Hamilton Southeastern Youth Championships here in 2018. It was the lowest scoring game of the lowest scoring game of the day. Ironically, this was the 6th grade game, and 6 is the exact number of points that were scored. So it's going to be an extremely quick scoring recap with 4:47 to go in the third quarter. Evan Burns rushed 9 yards for the touchdown, and the conversion failed, bringing us to our current score of 6, bringing us to our final score of 6-0. A quick individual scoring or individual statistic recap. Oscar Fox completed 1 of 2 passes for 17 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. Running back Wyatt Watson completed 0 of 3 passes for 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. The only reception was by Ryder Holt for 17 yards. On the ground, Evan Burns led the way with 9 rushes for 56 yards, and a touchdown, the only score of the game, in fact. Ryder Holt had 11 rushes for 40 yards. Wyatt Watson had 10 for 32, and starting quarterback Oscar Fox had 2 for 5. Meanwhile, very little to report for Ohio State. They managed only, by my count, 17 yards of total offense on the game. Jalen Fillmore, the starting quarterback, had 9 rushes for 4 yards. Mason Neal had 4 for 12, and Brady Griffiths had 5 for 1. And I'll tell you, Evan, this is a game. Navy was not great by any means, but they had an absolutely swarming defense. And while their offense, it wasn't great, but it was efficient. They didn't gain a lot of yards on the ground, but they were consistently getting 4, 5, 6-yard gains and staying in bounds to keep the clock and the chains moving. So once they got that score, they almost had the game in the bag at that point.
Well, yeah, they executed well on offense, and they executed very well on defense. And I say very well because their defense is mainly what won them these championships, like all throughout the grades. The defense held on to win every single game they were in, and they limited a lot of teams to just either low points. They limited Air Force to 12 in their first third grade game, and then in the fifth grade game they played very well on defense, and then right now in the sixth grade game they shut out Ohio State and took home a sixth grade championship. So congratulations to Navy midshipmen.
Yes, and let's take a quick overview about what happened today. Back in the third grade game, Navy beat Air Force 14-12. The fourth grade game, Indiana beat Ohio State 23-0. Fifth grade game, Navy beat Michigan State 12-0, and finally in the sixth grade game, Navy beat Ohio State by a score of 6-0. So, Colin, it's really odd. We had 26 points scored in the first game of our quadruple header. That was the third grade game. We only had 41 points scored combined the last 7 halves.
That's a very interesting stat, Leck. And I mean,
yeah.
That just shows you, battle of defenses. Battle of defenses will win you championships. They always say offense will win you games, but defense will win you championships.
Well, that sure held true today, and it was great. It was just a great afternoon of football. Nearly 6 hours worth of action here, brought to you live on audiosportsonline.com. And if you missed part of the broadcast or want to see it again, no problem. These games are going to be archived on the Audio Sports Online page and on YouTube, so you can watch them anytime you want, forever. Share them with your family and friends, and something to look back on over the years with a lot of great memories. And really, it's so great of the good people here in the Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern programs to put on a special event like this for the kids, broadcast it live online, and it really is great to get this preview of the future of both the Hamilton Southeastern Royals and the Fishers Tigers, two of the marquee programs here in the state.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right, and it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for these young kids, as now the sixth graders will move up and be junior high kids, start playing seventh grade football, and then go on to eighth grade, and then freshman year is right around the corner. That's when you start getting into high school football, and the real football action starts there.
Oh, yeah, it does, and certainly when you go and cheer on the Royals or the Tigers on Friday nights, it's important to remember it starts with events like this. It's something that, those kids are where they are right now because they spent years, going through these youth leagues to get ready to go on the grand stage here, at IU Health Field, and then across town 3 miles from here at Fishers High School as well.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. And congratulations once again to Navy midshipmen. Complete the sweep here.
Yeah,
all their championship games that they were in.
Yeah, 3 of the 4, and then, of course, so Navy winning the 3rd, 5th, and 6th grade championships, Indiana the 4th grade. And also, for those of you who are Hamilton Southeastern Royals fans, I cordially invite you to tune in this Friday night at 6:45 for the pregame show as your Hamilton Southeastern Royals travel to the east side of Indianapolis to visit a new rival, the Franklin Central Flashes, who've just joined the Hoosier Crossroads Conference this year. Franklin Central enters the game with a record of 1-6. Should be an easy win for the Royals. So get out and support the kids if you can, or tune in on audiosportsonline.com, or do both. You can go out to the game and listen to the Audio Sports Online coverage on your mobile device. So anyway, it was. And so, and hopefully some of these kids will be, we'll be commentating them on Audio Sports Online in just a few years. And I know that, one of the great joys that I've had in my 7 years as a high school commentator is watching guys and girls who I commentated in high school playing collegiately, and now a few are starting to play professionally. And now I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these kids play in high school and commentating them in a few years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, too. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Well, that's all for today's coverage of this Youth League Championship Series for Hamilton Southeastern and Fishers High Schools. I'm Colin Bruns alongside Lex Zorn. We're going to let you listen into the award ceremony, and that'll be it for our broadcast here.
Yeah, Colin, it was great finally working with you again, and hopefully we'll do some basketball this season, too, but, we'll see. And So thanks to you for joining me here, and thanks to all of you in the audience, and look forward to bringing you some more games in the near future. Until then, remember, there is a difference only you can make.